The final Rugby World Cup quarter-final sees, as my computer falls onto the chair, sees Japan take on the Springboks in what is going to be a very, very fascinating watch. Especially based on the history of these teams. It is made that extra bit spicier, a bit more fascinating. I mean, Japan stunned the world, and South African fans will absolutely be sick of all the highlights of it and all the talk it gets, at least prior to the World Cup, about that victory in 2015 over South Africa in the pool stages. That was a pool game. Japan didn't end up making it out of that pool. South Africa ended up, going a fair bit further in the tournament. But, this is a knockout game. So it's a chance for South Africa to get some, I don't know if you want to call it payback, or at least even things up. They already even things up because they have only played twice. The Japanese win was their first meeting in that Rugby World Cup, which was 34-32. And then they did meet just before this World Cup started in the Rugby World Cup warm-up match. And that one was convincingly South Africa, 41 points to 7. So the record is 1 apiece. I feel like there's probably still a little bit of unfinished business for South African fans because that was only a warm-up game, which is, it's not a friendly, but it's the next best thing. You know what I mean? There wasn't as much on the line. So I think it would mean more for South African fans to get a win and essentially knock Japan out of the World Cup, of their own World Cup. But there is that bit of added pressure. Japan are at home. They've done better than any Japanese team has done in the past. They've come a long way since the likes of 1995, where they were getting 100 plus points put on them. So how well they can do at home now is going to be an interesting one. Will they play with kind of no pressure on them because they've already exceeded expectations, or at least met expectations, or will they still have that pressure to keep on going? Because the players and the coaching staff aren't satisfied with just a quarterfinal. Nobody's going to be aiming just to get a quarterfinal. They want to keep on going. But, with the home fans there, it'll either make it more free for them to play, knowing that they've already done very well, or perhaps a bit of added pressure to do the job at home. We will see. I'll put the teams in the descriptions so you guys can have a look. There's minimal changes for the Japanese side, which has kind of been the story of their World Cup. With the way the schedule worked out, they were able to more or less play a settled team week in, week out, because they pretty much had a week between each game, which was fortunate. Yamanaka is the change to the starting 15. He is in for Tupou, who's had some concussion symptoms after that Scotland game. The rest of the team is the same, so Inagaki, Horie and Ku in the front row, which has been a solid outfit, and they'll need to be good in this game. Thompson and Moore, I've said it multiple times, have done a lot better than I thought they were going to do at this World Cup, and may that continue for the sake of this game. Leitch, Labuschagne, and Himeno are the back row, and the back row is up there with some of the best back rows in the world, because those guys have all been playing top rugby, and not just for this tournament. I've liked Labuschagne for many years. He's always been a tackling machine and continues to be so. Leitch has got a great skill set, and Himeno has just proven the real deal. I think probably got a lot more eyes on him now than he ever has done before. People have said that in Japan he's always been, well, for a long time he's been very well regarded, and people knew he was the business, but maybe that's getting a bit more spread around with the exposure of the Rugby World Cup. The backs, Nagare and Tamura, continue at 9 and 10, and it's a while ago now since that Rugby World Cup warm-up game, but I feel like Tamura had a pretty bad game in that World Cup warm-up game, so he's maybe got a bit of unfinished business. I feel like that scoreline, although it was pretty emphatic, I seem to remember there were a few errors in that Japanese team where they probably could have got a bit closer. Not saying they would have won the game, but they probably should have got a bit closer than they did, and they certainly weren't as sharp as they have been since the World Cup started. But if you're going to get a bad performance out of the way, a warm-up is the time to do it. Nakamura and Lafaele in the midfield. Fukuoka, who has been magic, along with Matsushima, who has also been magic on the wings. And like I said, Yamanaka's at 15. The bench, Sakate, Nakajima, and Valu continue on as the front row replacements. Van der Vault comes in as lock replacement. So Hilu is out. Mafi is also back. He's on the bench. Tanaka continues as the backup 9. Matsuda's still there. And Lemeki comes in as the backup outside back again, because there's no Tupou for this one. So Lemeki is also pretty devastating ball carrier, so we'll see how much time he gets. South Africa, quite a few changes. But again, it's probably to be expected because they had to rotate the squad with the way the fixtures worked out in the pool. They were always going to have kind of a tight finish to their pool games and then a bit of a break before the knockout stages, assuming they made it, which they did pretty easily. So you feel like look at the side and go, Rassie is going to try and use some muscle on the Japanese pack based on these picks, and you look at the bench. So as I said, have a look in the description. The full list is there, but it's Tendai Mtawarira, Bongi Mbonambi, and Franz Moherba in the front row. Mbonambi and Mtawarira didn't play in the last game, so they are back into the squad. Moherba was on the bench for that one, so they come in. Mbonambi is an interesting story because I think even about a year ago, if you were picking a South African team, the first name off your list would probably be Malcolm Marx. But Mbonambi has been in proper form, and he takes the number 2 jersey. That being said, I believe Rassie's kind of said they're going to get about 40 minutes each, so there's not much in it. And maybe while the game is a bit tighter in the first half, you play Mbonambi, and when it's a bit looser, you play Marx. Maybe he can have a bit of an effect on the breakdown. But yeah, either way, the fact that Mbonambi is 2 is a great credit to the work he's been doing. Etzebeth is up from the bench to the second row. Lutiaga is in the second row as well. He's up from the not in the 23 there, and I feel like with such a competitive, 4 locks that they've got to choose from, Diaka's done really well to get a starting spot because he was injured for most of the year, and he probably had the most to prove in terms of his comeback, and he has done phenomenally well to be starting a game as well. That being said, the other 2 guys are on the bench in Mostert and Snyman, so why pick 2 locks or 3 when you can have 4? The loose forwards, Khaleesi continues on. He's captain at 6. Pieter-Steph Tutoy is back at 7 from the bench. And Doya Vermeulen is back at number 8 from outside the match day 23. The backs, Faf de Klerk is back at 9. So there's no Kobus Reinach. Guy got a hat-trick. He showed some amazing gas, but he can't make the 23, which is disappointing for him because he was immense in that game. But again, competitive squad. Andre Pollard's back at 10. Mapimpi is the left wing with Colby at right wing. So those guys both didn't play in that last game. I feel like most of us fans would probably choose Nkosi, but Rassie is sticking with Mapimpi. He knows what he's doing probably better than any of us. So we'll go with his decision. But, they're both very good players. Mapimpi's been a bit of a try-scoring machine in recent years, although I think he played like a Super Rugby season, a Pro 14 season, and then back to Super Rugby season, so maybe he got a bit burnt out, but hopefully he's back in proper form now. The midfielder is Damon Delende, who moves from 13 to 12, and Lokanya Armour's back as well. Vili Leroux is in there at 15, up from the bench as well. He's not been in his career best form, but again, he's still a class player, so you kind of pick him knowing that he is a steady pair of hands. So yeah, that's the starting 15. Now, when I was talking about some muscle, you look at the bench, you still got Malcolm Marx, Stephen Kitsoff, and Vincent Koch is there as well. Ake Snyman, like I mentioned, Franco Mostert is there. So, 2 locks plus your regular front row replacements, and then Francois Lowe just to add a bit of pain at the breakdown. So they're only going with 2 reserve backs in Herschel Yankees and Frans Steyn. Frans Steyn started the last one, he's down to the bench. I guess Yankees covers 9 and Frans Steyn covers essentially everything else. But there's a bit of flexibility with some of the other guys in the lineup to move those pieces around if anybody goes off early as well. So, yeah, like I said, no Reinach, no Nkosi, no Elton Yankees. But, yeah, Rassie clearly wants to do a job with that squad that he's picked. So we will see how they go. Wayne Barnes is the ref, Rowan Kitt is the TMO, so I feel like Barnes has been doing pretty well this World Cup, so hopefully he runs this game equally as well. Be interesting to see if he busts out any Japanese, because he busted out a bit of Russian in the Russian game. He busts out French every now and again, which is not giving him grief for the French. He certainly does more effort than most of the refs, but yeah, we will see. The bookies for this one have got South Africa by 14 points in terms of the prediction. Rugby forecast, the algorithm has the Springboks by 19. So in terms of all the quarterfinals, this one is picked to be the most one-sided. But I guess we will have to wait and see. Japan at home have been better than anybody probably expected. South Africa are definitely a team playing some of the best rugby in the world right now. So it's going to be a pretty epic one. We all hope, as always, no cards get involved and that everything is kind of ruled, officiated well and all that jazz. So yeah, we'll see how things go. If you guys haven't worked out how to watch the game, I'll give you a tip at the end. But if you're all sorted, then that's all good. My daughter's crying, so I better go. But yeah, do let me know your thoughts on the selections. How do you think these teams are lining up? How much are you predicting each team get, or who do you think is going to win and by what? And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later. Remember guys, if you are looking to stream the games, there's a link in the description for ExpressVPN. You can use that, set yourself to a server in the UK as I've done here. You head over to the ITV website, itv.com, and basically they've got all the games for free. So all you need to do is open a free account with them. And they've got Rugby World Cup games on demand and live. They've got highlights, they've got breakdowns and travel shows, so all that kind of World Cup content. But yeah, basically you came here to see the games. It's the World Cup. It's once every 4 years. It's like $12.95 for a month package, which will get you through the whole World Cup. You can get longer if you need longer for other VPN purposes, but basically if you're here for the rugby, make sure you see it, man. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.